Okay, there was a big release recently, and what happened was something not very good. And remember, we talked about essentially how there might be some sort of benefit interruption. And you not only had terminology like that coming from prior commissioners, but you also, to be very clear, had terminology like that coming from the current commissioner when it comes to potential issues that could pop up as a result of DOGE and, of course, Elon Musk via, the young programmers. Now, they're in almost every agency inside the Social Security Administration. And the formation of DOGE was actually mostly a renaming of things that came way before during the Obama era, and then some other things that came even before that. But the bottom line is we have officially a full benefit interruption for a person where their benefits were suspended. And remember, and I told you guys, this is what would happen. You would have essentially a system where individuals would go ahead and first have benefit service interruptions. And then after the benefit service interruptions, they would see actual benefit interruptions. And so the whole idea, just to kind of make it simple and clear, is that a benefit service is something you need to access your benefits, right? So you need to have basically the ability to call the SSA, right? And now, of course, they had issues with phone calls. Takes 2 to 3 hours to get them on the phone sometimes. Their phone systems automatically hang up from being overloaded, etc. So as a result of that situation, just keeping this all in mind, benefit services are the services you need to alter, modify, change, update your actual Social Security benefits. Now, with that said, this is incredibly important. Actual benefits are the checks, the health insurance, the Social Security card that you receive. So we've had quite a few benefit services have interruption now. Now we have an actual case of benefit suspension, which means that basically there was an issue with their benefits. And unfortunately, there are two types of benefit suspensions. Type number one is a known benefit interruption or known benefit suspension. That's where the SSA knows this is going to happen. They're going to send out a letter ahead of time. They're going to give people a heads up notice. They're going to go ahead and tell people, right? And then there's an unknown or non registered suspension, which is basically where the SSA doesn't know or did not send out proper actual notice to you with specificity, so it's constitutionally viable, about how they're restricting the receipt of your benefits. Let's get into this real quick, but please remember to like and subscribe. A lot of people don't hit that like button with my videos. They like to watch it, but they don't hit the button. It's crucial that you hit the button. Let's get into it. All right, Spencer Humphrey from KFOR, Oklahoma City man, says Social Security benefits terminated without warning or explanation. This was created on March 14th, today, 2025. So this is breaking news. An Oklahoma retiree says the Social Security benefits were suddenly suspended without warning and with no explanation given when he reached out, according to News Nation affiliate KFOR. Now, remember, this could happen to any benefits. Could happen to SSI benefits, SSDI benefits, retirement benefits, right? Medicare, Medicaid, disabled adult child benefits, Section 301s, all that. It could happen with any of these, okay? And as a result, what you kind of have to keep in mind is that this whole situation is going to become more and more commonplace now that they've cut a lot of jobs for people. Now, one of the statements, and I got to be honest with you, a lot of people are throwing some hate towards Commissioner Leland Dudek. I don't think that that is a fair thing. The current commissioner is in waiting for the new commissioner, which is, of course, Frank Bisignano, to take his place. But the current commissioner is in, and he is feeling immense pressure, and he is feeling immense sacrifice inside the SSA. In fact, when he made the statement that basically he knew that this is it, he was never getting a job again after this, that he was kind of like the sacrificial lamb on behalf of the Trump administration and Elon Musk and DOGE. He knew that there were going to be problems and mistakes that were created as a result of that. So what's happening, just so you guys understand, is that I don't think giving massive heat and anger and whatever to him, we could have it much worse, is what I'm saying. We could have it where we don't hear anything from the commissioner. We don't have any update from the commissioner. Instead, this guy has been pumping out news conference updates, emergency message updates, etc., so that we know what's going on. So for those of you who are like, oh, how could this be? He's Trump is telling what to do and he's doing, oh my goodness, da, 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 da. He's an appointed chair. He's a political appointee. He has to do what Trump tells him to do. Otherwise, he will be immediately fired. So you either have option one, the guy who does what Trump tells him to do, and doesn't tell you what's going to happen. Or option two, the guy who tells you what's going on. Or sorry, the guy who's doing stuff in the background and does tell you what's going on. You want option two, which is the guy who's taking what Trump tells him, doing what Trump tells him, and then telling us about it. So I don't think it's really proper that we've had so much aggressiveness towards Commissioner Dudek. I just don't see him as the great horrible devil that people have like classified him as. Now, obviously, the Democrats are going to take their moment in stride and go ahead and make the Republicans look like they're massively ending Social Security benefits, etc. That's not what's happening. What's happening is the benefits are getting interrupted. The benefits are getting suspended. The benefits are having problems. Now, a lot of people will argue against me and they'll say, well, I work for this group. I work for the SSA. I work for the blah, 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 blah. And they'll say, hey, the payment systems are hyper automated. There can be no problem. There can be no issue, yada, yada, yada. Okay, so let me just clarify something. If a system is hyper automated and you significantly cut down on the tech personnel that work on these massive hyper automated systems, what happens? These massive hyper automated systems immediately turn into a shit show when they can't clear the errors, which means that you could have entire files, entire categories of individuals have something pop up and have it never be dealt with until it ends up being a problem that can't be worked on. Now, as a counter argument, because remember, I'm an independent, I give you guys both sides. As a counter argument, the government can't continue to spend as it's been spending. Those days are over. We literally went past the breaking point. We can't afford our debt at this point. That's why we have to keep printing money. We can't afford what we're spending overseas. We can't afford the military. And we cannot afford Social Security benefits. I hear Republicans and Democrats both giving that argument that we can afford them. I need to clarify and fix that because those are politicians. I'm America's most viewed and subscribed to and clicked on disability attorney. I need to clarify what's going on. We cannot afford Social Security benefits because we can't afford to pay the Social Security Administration what it needs to properly administer them. Wouldn't take 3 hours to get them on the phone if we could properly pay enough people to do the 800 number. Also, we cannot afford our Social Security system because SSI benefits, known as Supplemental Security Income Benefits, which are for impoverished, disabled, people over 65 that are old and often disabled, and then those individuals who are entrants that are refugees, asylum seekers, and those who are trafficked, those individuals are very, very expensive, and they get paid from general taxes. So we can't afford them like the people who paid in their entire life for essentially retirement or SSDI benefits, etc. So as a result of that, you have a problem. And they use these political left and right to batter the badminton back and forth. And the problem is it's the politics. And I'm gonna solidify it real quick for you guys because it bothers the hell out of me as to how they do it. So imagine, if you will, that the system was going to collapse no matter what, because once we have artificial intelligence and robots, most jobs are going to go away. So we know it's going to collapse. We also know that the culture of modern Americans is not to have traditional families. And I'm not arguing for traditional families. You want to, put all kinds of dye in your hair, go for it. I'm totally for freedom of expression. Do your thing, okay? Have fun. Okay, you want to paint your fingernails? And would somebody please take a moment and explain to me in the chat section why women have a special finger with their painted fingernails? I don't get that. I'm seeing that everywhere. I just don't get it. Now, with that said, I mean, I'm literally, they put bows on them now. They've got, one of them had a little cute Tonka trunk on it, a Tonka truck on it. I just, somebody explain that to me. Now, with that said, I think it's crucial to understand that we are not making enough children to be taxed in the future to pay for these benefits, specifically retirement and Medicare, the biggies. Also, these robots with artificial intelligence are going to basically make a lot of jobs obsolete. Okay. You might be thinking, oh, blah, 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 blah. No. Biden's big idea that I really liked, but he didn't do. Look, let's just be fair with Biden. Okay. Obviously, mentally wasn't there. Somebody else wrote his pre-White House website, agenda for achievements. A lot of his ideas were really great. The big one was getting family members to be certified, having a mass effort to take care of the elderly so that they can get paid, pay taxes on the money they get paid, and have a better retirement themselves. It was a great idea. Did it get implemented? Not really. I mean, the VA people have it, but not in a civilian sense. Now, here's the kicker with that. How many of you think we're going to need, essentially, right? Essentially, and I'm going to beat up on the Democrats a little bit with this one. How many of you think we will need family members taking care of the elderly when there are robots that are capable of washing the dishes, vacuuming the house, bringing pills over, properly applying things as they need to be applied, making beds, etc., right? Driving the car to get you over to wherever, right? Although the cars will just self-drive themselves. The point is, we don't live in that future where there's family members needed for all this. We live in the future where robots are going to do a lot of these functions. And as a result, that will collapse the Social Security system as we know it. So the politicians know this. They know this. They're fully aware of it. And as a result of that, I'm going to beat up the Democrats and the Republicans here. So just if you want to hate me, it's okay. I love you. I'm going to give you a big hug, big snuggle. Okay. What you have to keep in mind is that the Republicans are saying we need to make them capable of being afforded, make them retire later, give them less benefits, rah, 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 rah. And the Democrats are saying we need to just pay them. We need to just keep paying them. We need to tax the rich. The rich have all the money. They don't pay their fair share, which is all accurate. It's accurate. They don't pay their fair share. They don't. And on top of that, they make tons and tons of money. They got most of the money, right? But the problem is the politicians are in control of putting in place both the Republicans and the Democrats, right? Republicans and the Democrats. You will see that when Democrats give speeches, there's always some sort of billionaire giving part of the speech. You will see with Republicans, there's a lineup of billionaires because our politicians are the ones that control our politics because they are either attorneys or super rich people, because those are really mostly the only people who understand how the laws are written and applied. So as a result, the big problem we have is that these two groups are the same party. They know that they will argue, make the rich pay their fair share, but they're never gonna, because the rich are never gonna allow politicians to actually pass something that taxes them more. And the Republicans are never going to get away with actually making Social Security benefits harder to get, because then people won't vote them in for the next ride. So the bottom line is they have created the yada lock, which is basically where no side can do anything and nothing really happens until some massive change, which is negative for you, actually occurs. Now, what we have here is the beginning of the hyper efficiency of the Social Security Administration. If Trump can pull it off, it will likely save Social Security benefits for a time period until we have the robot issue and basically the issue with young people not being born enough. And then, yada, yada, yada. Because, we got a lot of kids being born, but they're not in a traditional family that gets these kids pushed and pushed and pushed. I'm not saying they have to come from a farm, but they're not being pushed towards higher education, higher achievements, etc. And as a result, they're not making enough to be taxed enough to pay for these other benefits. So those are the issues. Those are the problems. This person, unfortunately, right here, is somebody who had their benefits suspended without notice. That's the crucial part here. I want you to go ahead and listen to what happens with this article, because if this happens to you, imagine what it's going to be like without that month receiving that check, and then you have to wait 2 to 3 hours on the phone to try and get somebody who probably is not that well trained to go ahead and fix this. Think about it. If a lot of people are terminated at the SSA offices, right? Or a lot of people quit, are there going to be a lot of people there who really know what they're doing? Or is it going to be mostly people who are newer who didn't get the option to quit because financially it would make sense for them? Because remember, government benefits, if you want to quit at some point and get something good, you got to be there a while. So what's happening? We're losing the people who have been there a while. Let me read it real quick. Okay. Oklahoma retiree says his Social Security benefits were suddenly suspended without warning and with no explanation given when he reached out. According to News Nation, affiliate KFOR, he worries it may have to do with the place he was born, and ongoing Department of Government efficiency cutbacks. The man was born to an active duty U.S. soldier at an overseas U.S. Army base. Now, because of recent comments from Elon Musk, he's worried his benefits were cut because of his foreign birthplace. Earlier in March, Musk and DOGE pushed for major cuts to Social Security, calling it a Ponzi scheme, claiming the system is rife with people who are fraudulently receiving benefits. I mean, look, there's a lot of people on disability benefits that, a very, very, very true aggressive Republican would say they don't deserve them. Okay. Oh, they can walk. They don't deserve them. Oh, they can drive a car. They don't deserve them. I get it. And then the other side, you have, Democrats, super liberal stuff, right? Where they're like, oh my goodness, the person sneezes, they deserve them. So, you got this swing going on. They have to kind of keep in mind. Now, with that said, earlier in March, Musk and DOG, right, they called it a Ponzi scheme. And just to be fair, it is de facto a Ponzi scheme, but that's not a bad thing. Not all Ponzi schemes are absolutely horrific or terrible. It's a socialism social net. That's what it is. It's a socialism social net. The new people pay for the old people. That's the gig. It's a Ponzi scheme. That's what it is. But not all Ponzi schemes are bad. And I don't know why they keep throwing it around without actually correcting it. And then, of course, the Democrats say, how could you? It's not a Ponzi scheme. It's been around for 89 years. The Republicans are saying it's a Ponzi scheme because we're putting all of this burden on young people to pay for the old people. Musk claimed during an interview with Fox Business that many undocumented immigrants are receiving Social Security, calling for them to be removed from Social Security's rolls. However, there has been no evidence to suggest this. Now, let's be fair. He hasn't gone through and written up all the reports and done everything that he wants to yet. But if there is a potential for it, the agency that handles creation of Social Security benefits for those who are going through naturalization, who can potentially get SSI benefits, that's the agency that's going to do it. That's the agency that's potentially going to have it. Ask yourself, which agency creates Social Security numbers? Which agency has criminals that OIG keeps catching? We did a video on it 2 nights ago about how one of them basically, sought snuggles from a potential recipient and asked her to go to a parking lot at a hotel, to pay her money because she needed benefits and he was going to give her money for snuggles. Arrested in the parking lot. That Social Security person was arrested in the parking lot. All right. So it's just, you know what I mean? It's just, and we have more. We're going to be doing more of those to go over them because a lot of people, for some reason, scream at me in the comments and say, how dare you? Social Security employees would never do that. How dare you? District attorneys on behalf of the federal government would disagree very strongly. And I don't mean that as a mean thing. I want people, when they see these videos, to learn something from it. You ever notice you ever notice that a lot of people just kind of live in a la land? And I realize I can't reach them all. There's no way to help all these people. It is what it is. But if you can get some people to realize what's going on, they will prepare themselves. Now, the SSI people will scream at me with fire and say, how dare you? There's no way we can save. No shit. No shit. The SSA knows you can't save. I know you can't save. The SSA knows you are in such shit show levels of not having enough money that they've literally, for the most part, tried to give up on collecting overpayments from SSI people when it's the rules are real wiggly for the SSI because the reality is this. What are you going to pay back? $10? $20? What are you going to pay back? The other thing that you have to keep in mind, just to be very clear, is that a lot of people on Social Security benefits are abusing their free time. What do I mean by abusing their free time? If they have free time, and if they don't have a good setup where they get VA benefits topped with civilian Social Security benefits, if they don't have that cushion, if they don't have that plush, then why are you not reaching out to the county, the town, the federal, the state, the this, the that, the government, the religious institutions, the mega organizations that are set up by Coca-Cola and eBay and Disney and the nonprofits? Why are you not reaching out to them so that they cover your rent some months, so that they buy your food some months with their programs so that you can save up some money? Why? And I get people, I don't want to have to call people. I don't like to call people. Then find a buddy who can call them for you. Because this is not a good situation. and I'm going to keep it neutral. I'm going to keep it in the middle. Okay. But this is not a good situation. It's not. It's either going to turn out really well or do the exact opposite, and it's going to be horrific. Okay. All right, here we go. The Hill reported that economists are saying the levels of fraud Musk has mentioned don't exist. Now, here's the thing. Old people getting lots of money, that's not the problem. Okay. They're not getting lots of benefits, I should say. Old people that are impossible, like there's no way that they're alive, but yet there are significant amounts of income attributed to their social security number. Now, that is a big problem. The IRS is getting frauded, not the Social Security Administration. The IRS is getting frauded on social security numbers that are very old and being used by criminal masterminds who somehow got that social security number. You ever think about that, how they got it? You ever think about like how they would know when the SSA figured out that a 125-year-old wasn't still alive? 110-year-old wasn't still alive? You ever think about that? You would have to know somebody on the inside who could search it. Or you'd have to have somebody so high up that when they would go into the system, like a tech person, they could hide their login parameters. And then, of course, you'll get somebody who works at the SSA going, there's no way to hide your login parameters. And my response to you is, well, you've obviously been an employee your entire life. Because if you were an employer, you would understand the difference between administrator and super administrator, back end of website and front end of website. You would know the difference. But if you don't know the difference, you're going to think that program can only do what you can do on that program. NBC News also reported former Social Security Administrator Martin O'Malley warned the DOGE's cuts to Social Security could disrupt benefits for millions of Americans for the first time since the agency was founded. Now, James McCaffrey, a retiree living in Oklahoma City, worries he might have been one of the first to be affected. McCaffrey, 66, told News Nation affiliate KFOR that there was one thing he most looked forward to in retirement. More time with the grandkids. He also said he made sure to save up enough retirement money to, quite frankly, spoil his 3 grandchildren. I went out and bought my granddaughter a new jacket. McCaffrey said she's thrilled. And then her sister says, well, you know, she got a new jacket. Where's mine? I said, I'll get you one too. This is unfortunately the same language I use with my dogs. So they're not going to turn out very nice people. Unfortunately, my dogs they're very spoiled. They're very spoiled. But I mean, what do you want me to do, right? You expect me to make some kids that are going to pay for your retirement benefits? I'd love to. I'm working on it. You're very pressuring with your little clicky buttons. All right, here we go. He also looked forward to being able to travel more with his wife, who's nearing retirement herself. But after he opened his mail on Tuesday, he thought all those dreams would have to come to a halt. I'd hate to have to turn around and say, well, I have to worry about my next check, he said. That's because in the mail was a bill from Medicare that he wasn't expecting. It said that I needed to pay $740 before the 25th of this month, or I was going to lose my Medicare. That seemed odd, since Medicare payments are normally deducted from his Social Security check. So I called Medicare, he said. They returned my call after a wait and told me that they were unable to process it through my Social Security payment, that there was some problem with it. We talked for a bit. He kind of let it out that he thinks it's a possibility that my Social Security was suspended. So basically, the Medicare person said, hey, buddy, you're getting this because the other program that helps pay for this might have been suspended. Okay. And remember, this guy is like searching in the dark room for answers here. He's calling agencies, he's calling here, he's calling there. He's trying to figure out what the direction of his problem actually is. And that definitely didn't make sense to McCaffrey. Quote, I thanked him for his time and called Social Security. He said after more than 2.5 hours on hold with Social Security, he said he finally got a call back. Quote, they confirmed that my account was suspended, McCaffrey said. McCaffrey claims Social Security never sent him any sort of notice this was happening, so he can't be certain the exact day his benefits were canceled. However, he does know it must have been sometime between the day he received his February check and February 27th, the date on the Medicare bill. He asked the Social Security agent if there was anything she could do to fix it. Quote, she said she was going to input some stuff and that she hoped that they would take care of it, he said. By the next morning, sure enough, the issue had been fixed. So it's good. It was a quick, easy call one agency. They said no, pointing the finger at the SSA. Waits 2.5 hours to get on the phone with the SSA, which is pretty much standard operation now. It's shit show land, and he gets it fixed with her. I just got a simple email on my phone, McCaffrey said. It said that my normal payment was going to resume in April. The email didn't mention anything about the March payment he never received. He took it upon himself to check his bank account where he saw his March check and had now been deposited. So, happy story. Happy story because it had a fix. That's good. We want happy stories. All right. Now, here's the deal. Quote, well, that's fine and dandy, McCaffrey said. Quote, I enjoyed that, but they gave me no explanation. I want to make something clear to many of you. Be on top of your benefits. Watch what's going on with your benefits. Why? You're going to be seeing a lot of unintentional whoopses on behalf of the SSA. And as a result, they are going, okay, to go ahead and sometimes have a problem. Could be a tech problem. The program doesn't process your payment. Could be a person problem. They're doing a quality review and they don't put it into the right stack. You don't know. But you need to stay on top of this stuff. Okay. And if you can, call out to different county, nonprofit, state, federal organization through mega corporations, religious institutions to see what programs they have to help you. Also, reach out to your politicians and ask them what fixes can be made, what funding can be put towards the Social Security Administration to make sure it's secure. Secure means within 5 minutes, an SSA person picks up the phone. Secure means a disability claim takes 3 to 6 months to adjudicate it at the initial filing level. Secure means they have enough tech people so that when the highly automated payment systems have a problem, they can fix it before you even realize something happened. Okay? McCaffrey said for him to get an explanation, he had to become his own detective of sorts. He thought back to an experience he had 2 years ago when he first went to a Social Security office to apply for benefits. Yeah, that was back in the day where you could go to a Social Security office and apply before they cut that off in part unless you fall into a special category or have an appointment. Quote, the first person I talked to at the Social Security Administration told me that I was not an American citizen, McCaffrey said. McCaffrey was born on a U.S. Army base in Germany where his father was stationed for active duty. He has an American birth certificate officially stamped and sealed by the federal government. By the way, I'm not sure if you guys see comments about Puerto Rico in the chat section or the comment section, just please jump in and kind of correct them on that. I don't know why there's so many people who don't realize like the status of Puerto Rico. Just for people who don't know, like there are a bunch of possessions of the United States, quasi states of the United States, that essentially we have contractual agreements with Social Security benefits, including military specialty treatment, which is, of course, if somebody's born, for example, on a military base. Okay. But when he returned another day with his birth certificate and passport, a different employee told him there was no issue. And that's another thing. If you're going to be communicating with the local field office, remember a couple things. Number one, they're not all up to date on their training. It's there, what's happening. Number two, the SSA specifically tells them not to use certain phrases or words or stay away from certain topics. So, like, to be fair, if you're asking them about the backlog, they're pretty much told, as I've been told by them, to not reference or go into it or talk about it. Now, they're going to talk with me about it because, it is what it is. But you guys, they're worried about, temperament issues, anxiety, depression, panic attacks, freakouts, okay, where you just blow up. Got a different person, presented my things to him, and he says, I don't need these. You're fine. I don't know what. She's just misinformed. I've never had a problem with anything until Tuesday, McCaffrey said. Then he remembered something he had recently seen on TV. He had seen Musk speaking about Social Security during an interview on Fox Business Network. In an interview, Musk suggested, without citing evidence, that non-citizens in large numbers are receiving Social Security benefits and called for them to be purged from the system. We're going to be seeing more evidence on that, and I'll be doing more videos on what he's specifically posted on his Twitter system. Although I will say this, some of the items that he's posted about the Social Security Administration, when you click the link, for some reason, it doesn't work. Like, it doesn't take you to the full explanation of the details. So they may be changing their status, you know what I mean, on essentially, where things are at, okay? Then he remembered, all right, so in an interview, Musk talked about that. Now, quote, federal entitlements is also a mechanism by which Democrats attract and retain illegal immigrants by essentially paying them. That's your SSI benefits. Musk said during the March 10 interview, if we turn off this gigantic money magnet for illegal immigrants, then they will leave. It's not that giant. It is massive, but it's not ultra huge, ginormous. SSI benefits. Okay. People who are asylum seekers, refugees, trafficked. We're talking, women. We're talking Ukraine, Haiti, Israel, people that unfortunately, or places that are part of the Middle East where we bring them over here. Those types of individuals, 7 years of supplemental security income benefits, and then another, just to be clear, another 2 years up if they can prove the need for it. Do you guys feel that immigrants should be getting SSI? Remember, it used to be a lot more broad where a lot of people could just come here and get SSI and they get paid SSI for 7 years plus 2 years up option. Now, remember, too, if you bring immigrants over and you don't send them up with any money, then what's going to happen? They are going to turn to crime. Okay. That's just the bottom line. That's what it is. Okay. Now, that made McCaffrey wonder about his own situation. Quote, I think they went into Social Security and suspended all foreign addresses, whether you reside at home, born on them. He said, News Nation affiliate KFOR reached out to the Social Security Administration for an explanation, but officials declined to comment, citing confidentiality rules. KFOR tried to put them in touch with McCaffrey. He said a representative with the Social Security Administration called him on Wednesday, but still offered no explanation for why his benefits were terminated. Now, remember, under normal circumstances, this is a constitutional violation because they have to give you notice, specificity as to why they are taking away your benefits. But they can manipulate your benefits and change the rules of your benefits because technically your benefits are not really your benefits because of 1937 Supreme Court ruling that said it's really just taxes. They're just taxing you. They get to figure out what they do with your programs, modify it, change it as they want to. You don't have a legal right to them technically, not at the highest level. Quote, it makes me wonder how many of other people are going to get or have gotten that same Medicare letter, McCaffrey said. He worries about people who may not have the time and resources he had to get to the bottom of what happened and get his benefits back. Quote, I've been a diligent Boy Scout type. I prepared, he said, but no, I shouldn't have to. He also worried about people who may not share the same savings or the same financial cushion that he had to fall back on, and you interrupt that for 7 days, 2 weeks, or even longer, and they're in bad trouble, he said. They could be out of the house. They could be out of food. I don't know. Point is with this article, point is with this whole situation, you have to prepare because look, April, you're going to slide through. You're probably going to be fine. But I'm telling you, June, July, that kind of area, that's where you're going to see the most technical errors. You're going to be seeing the most issues with training and staff. That's where it's going to be the roughest. That's where it's going to be the most big of a problem. Now, they're bringing in Frank Bisignano, a super CEO, but Frank Bisignano is used to working with some of the top talent. The Social Security Administration has some of that, but it's not a lot. It's not a lot. Okay, the banking industry with the people Frank Bisignano was dealing with, top talent. Highly paid, highly intelligent, highly capable, highly talented individuals. Social Security has some of those people. They've got some super high IQ people, intellectual quotient, above norm standard. They got some of those people, but not anywhere near the private sector and the banking sector that's dealing with Frank Bisignano. Okay, those people with Frank Bisignano are C-suite, coding, massive business understanding, and also, let's call it like it is, business manipulating individuals. They're bright. They're extremely bright to be at that level. All right. With that said, please remember to like and subscribe. Just click the like button. It doesn't hurt. Also, I'm going to be doing the next video shortly. Give me about 10 minutes. Please keep in mind to head over to Google and type in disability resolution or disability resolution law firm. Throw some stars up there if you like. You don't have to, but it always kind of gets me excited to see those. With that said, we are going live tonight where I answer questions for free. We're going to do one more video and then I'll go live. Couldn't do it last night because I fell asleep at my desk. I was working way too late and I just didn't work out. Now, with that said, please remember that tonight I'll answer questions. And also, if you have a big question or a big situation, no attorney will look at it and it relates to Social Security, there's a 1-hour private contract where you can hire me for 1 hour to figure out what you should be doing in the comment section below. I'll catch you a little bit later. You have a wonderful, wonderful day, and we will go from there. Give me about 10 minutes. We'll be at the next one. And thank you for being a part of this amazing show, channel, and subscribing. And some of you become members. Thank you. I'll catch you soon. 10 minutes. All right. Bye-bye, everybody.